When the market's red hot, we don't necessarily have those opportunities. But now that it's slowed down just a touch in certain price points, right? Not all of them. And in certain areas, of course, there's homes that are flying off the market right now. But we are seeing a little bit more concessions play a part in how we structure things, which ultimately really gives us the opportunity and the benefit of obtaining lower interest rates than where the market is.
Hello everyone, welcome to Mortgage Minute. My name is Matt Thomas. I'm joined by Brian Dewald. He is a business partner and lender of mine, and I'm excited to bring you another Mortgage Minute. As you know, we touch on current events and what's happening to rates and what happens to the buying market, the real estate market as it pertains to buying a home, buying properties. And Brian, I'd love to, I think today maybe is a little bit of a different angle. We do want to acknowledge and talk about rates and what's going on there because it's important. There's obviously in the last month since we spoke, there's been a lot that's changed with the Iran war. But I would like to see, let's just talk about what's different as well, what's going on. I'd love to see ultimately what you're seeing from buyers. And then where people are really winning when it comes to collaboration with yourself, with myself, and then just all three parties involved, how people are adjusting and making opportunities and taking advantage of opportunities in the market. Let's talk first about the elephant in the room, the rate volatility and the reaction to the Iran war. Yeah. Clearly there's volatility, but we haven't seen rates, they're up and they're down, but they haven't fluctuated more than a half a point, which really isn't as deathly impactful to a monthly mortgage as people might assume. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would say that, most of the initial sting with the rates going up is behind us. It feels like anyway, right? So the first part of March was just like, oh my gosh, we can't keep up because rates were changing often. And it seems like it's still volatile for sure. But the impact in what the data and the news has brung to our world from a mortgage standpoint isn't as harsh as it was in the first part of March. So that's good news, right? Like I said, still a little bit volatile, but we're not seeing giant swings like we saw in early March.
Well, again, rate sensitivity really depends on obviously, somebody's ability to be able to react to the difference in payment and naturally just,
Sure.
How risk averse somebody is when buying a home or considering purchasing real estate in this market. However, once you, like as you said, with rate volatility, potentially the effects of that or the impacts of that have mostly set in. There's been some adjustment to it, and now it comes down to strategy over being sensitive to the rate. So what are you seeing with buyers right now? What are the good things that people are doing right now?
One of the benefits we've got out of, when the market slows down a little bit, that just means more opportunities for buyers, right? So we're, for the first part of the year, early January, it seemed like the market was just red hot, right? As soon as the holidays were over, things got red hot. And over the last 30 days or so, it seems like it slowed a little bit. So we've had lots of talks, again, recently with folks when it comes to concessions, right? When the market's red hot, we don't necessarily have those opportunities. But now that it's slowed down just a touch in certain price points, right? Not all of them. And in certain areas, of course, there's homes that are flying off the market right now. But we are seeing a little bit more concessions play a part in how we structure things, which ultimately really gives us the opportunity and the benefit of obtaining lower interest rates than where the market is. So neat stuff there.
We've spent a lot of time over the past over the past couple of years talking about the advantages of concessions offered by the seller to help a buyer buy down their rates. We're not talking about temporary buy downs. We're talking about permanent buy downs. And there's a lot of opportunity, I think, where the market has just cooled just a little bit. We are in the middle of spring. One would think that there'd be a lot of inventory coming on the market and a lot of clamoring for those properties. But even when the market just takes a break for the weekend, there can be sometimes some really good opportunities, especially when you've got a seller who's ready to do what they have to, including offering some concessions. In terms of really having success in this market, it's your opinion and my opinion both, of course, that, it just comes down to collaboration. Right? We know everyone's situation is different, so it comes down to collaboration with the, us professional partners. And how are you seeing that being helpful in helping people get through?
This is a great point. I'm really glad that you brought this up. I've got buyers from all over the place and different facets and different ways of me meeting them. And I can tell you when it's done through collaboration, like it is through you and me, it just goes so much more smoothly, right? When there's just a random, we can really help guide people as to the process, right? Like there's a process for getting pre-approved. If we're looking to go out and look at homes, we start here instead of reversing it where we go out and find 3 or 4 that we're excited about. One of them is ready for an offer. And then they call me and say, hey, and this doesn't happen with you and me. But my point is the collaboration that we have with our buyers, we're all rowing the boat in the same direction. So it just makes the process go that much more smoothly.
Yeah, when I tell people about you and the advantages of working with you, I mean, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is process, right? And I'd like to think that I have a good process as well in helping people navigate, market conditions and ultimately getting from, cradle to grave, if you will, or to A to Z on a purchase. But I have no doubt that also happens with you when they go to you. So that the process, the system is built to explore advantages, to understand that there might be some things in the market that, whether they're conventional, unconventional, if you have to take a right turn when you thought you were going to take a left turn, there's products out there and opportunities out there with some creativity and just in an ultimate collaboration with all the parties.
Great system when everything's working together like it should.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I mean, I'm sure you could go on and as could I about the difference between when people choose to be collaborative in the process, and that even means with the other party a lot of times. But when you have people working towards the same goal, home buying can be a breeze, or it can be an uphill battle if we don't take it with a systematic approach, in my opinion. Brian, anything else that you'd like to share? I think if I had to share anything, it would be that, while the market and, the rates are what a lot of people would term as volatile, it does not mean that the market has stopped, that there aren't great opportunities. It in fact just means that, there needs to be an adjustment and reaction. And a lot of times it's preemptive, that we can just kind of anticipate what we need to do, in the course of a home purchase. Anything that you'd like to add to that?
The only thing I'll add, I've got a large pipeline, and a lot of them are closing after May 1st that started this process February or earlier, right? So we're looking at numbers over here, and as these things change a little bit, right, we have to relook at the numbers. And I can tell you, everybody's still very, very excited about buying their house, even though it costs slightly higher than it did, from a monthly payment or an interest rate environment a few weeks back. But it's not killing any deals, which has been exciting. So people are still very excited for their new houses.
Well, again, and with a collaborative, if you will, seller who understands that, the market may have maybe shifted, or I don't even know if shift is the right word, but just softened, let off the gas a little bit, that they might have to do something to sweeten a deal. And that's where those buy downs through a concession are really coming into play, where that can lighten the load from a worse rate or something like that. So.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I wanted to add to, Matt, real quick, if you don't mind, as fast as things turn to slow down, we're just talking a couple of degrees, right? As fast as it seemed like it slowed down, which some of us enjoy a little bit of a break sometimes, like that, it can just speed right back up, right? There's just so much news and data that has changed over the last month or so with this war, that as soon as we see some light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps things could just immediately switch back the other direction. So. For whatever that's worth.
Well, and I can provide market updates that talk about things like what happened this past weekend. We had things like Easter, and did that cause people to pause or be distracted or take the weekend off? Yeah, possibly. We've got graduations and things coming up in May, and we see little ebbs and flows throughout the market. You're right. I mean, it's whether it's positive news, whether it's negative news, whether it's somebody decides to pump the brakes on something, opens the door for somebody else, and there really can be great opportunities out there for sure. There are hyper-local markets where I think we're seeing really strong action, a lot of strong buyer interest, and then there are certainly some places that are not quite as popular, that things are slower. But that's really where you and I come in to read the market, see what's going on, provide the systems and the tools to be able to get through it. You've got the loan products and things like that, and the sound consultation and advice to be able to get through people to navigate this market right now.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good, Brian. Well, as you can tell, hopefully you can tell that this is what we enjoy. We'd love to help people find solutions in this market and any market. That's right. We'd love for you to reach out to us and allow us to guide you through that. So with that, Brian, I guess we'll sign off until next time.
Sounds great. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Brian.